Wisco Disco. What's up, everybody? Shout out to everyone hopping on tonight, Friday, the 5th of April, 15 days till 420. We got a lot of events going down with a lot of partners. Just waiting on a good friend to help tidy up the little poster that we'll have at most of the events where you can sign the petition. And a quick reminder, if you haven't had a chance to sign that, it is in the featured comments section of the page. Let's Legalize Wisconsin. Shout out to everybody hopping on. Got a lot to go over tonight as far as news goes. Before we get rolling, couldn't be doing this without the fine folks at Higher Love. Much love to them. They got some amazing products up there. Great setup. Make sure you take advantage of that promo code. Check them out. Let them know what's up. It's also in the comments for you there. Shout out to Ignite Dispensary and Cigar, located across the state of Wisconsin. Many products that you'd find hard to believe are legal in Wisconsin, but they also do their homework in making sure those products are quality. Make sure you give them a check out. We're going to be at they got a new lounge in their Manitowoc store. Looking forward to a couple of events down there. And then also a big shout out to the guys over at J&E Candy. Let me just show you their website real quick. You can see what this is. It looks real good. Who's joining us tonight? See, we got a few viewers. Say hi in the comments. Always appreciate you guys stopping by, being a part of this. Let's share our screen. Share. We're going to go entire screen on that side. All right. So J&E gummies. J&E candy, sorry. These guys don't mess around with their small batch candy. Make sure you check them out. Get you a link in the comments as well. Paste. Boom. We're working on getting a promo code, so stay tuned on that. But it's worth checking out. The Square Bear gummies. No joke. They also got THCA flower. Great stuff. Great stuff over there at J&E Candy. Appreciate them hopping on board as well. With that, I want to start with what I thought was potentially the most intriguing bit of news from this week. Let me get the correct screen to share for that. We got Heath. What's up, my man? Thanks for swinging by. Much appreciated. Hope you're having a good wrap up to the week. Get some time together with the family this weekend, hopefully. Here we go. We need to share, present, share screen. Yes, I'm sure. Window. All right. So it sounds like, my understanding anyway. Whoa. USA Today. Get out of here. I could be. Tell you what, man. Get these ads out of here. So if you're paying attention, or if you haven't, there's been quite a battle going out in Florida for adult responsible use of cannabis. He says he's enjoying the weather and family Sunday. That's what's up, man. Good to hear. So Florida Supreme Court approved a adult responsible use constitutional amendment for the statewide ballot, despite their governor and other Florida politicians' opposition to the amendment. So the amendment, which would legalize recreational cannabis for adults, was approved in a 5-2 vote. Amendment 3 will legalize the non-medical personal use of cannabis products and cannabis accessories by an adult 21 or older if approved by 60% or more of the statewide voters. So what's interesting here is, just like in the state of Wisconsin, where it seems like the politicians aren't for it, but the overwhelming support of the state is for it, it looks like the people had found a way to get this put on the ballot. I haven't gotten a chance to talk to anybody at the Capitol yet to see if this is something that we could potentially do in Wisconsin. Obviously, I would hope so. But I was excited to see that they were able to get it on the ballot through fighting and clawing, basically. The amendment was subject of a multi-million-dollar campaign spearheaded by Smart and Safe Florida. The group collected over $40 million in recent years to fund their efforts. Hopefully it doesn't cost that much here, but I guess we don't know yet. We got to see if it's even a possibility. Again, medical is legal down there, but here's how they got a measure on Florida's ballot. First, they had to get a measure on the Florida ballot. Supporters must first get 891,000 signatures from residents. Holy smokes. I'm guessing it's going to be a similar number here in Wisconsin. That's a lot of signatures, but I feel like we could do it. Then the Supreme Court must decide whether the amendment language sticks to a single subject and isn't misleading, which can be a difficult threshold to overcome. So I'm assuming that's where it's going to come in when it comes to uh, spending some money to figure out to have a lawyer who understands this stuff, the jargon, the wording. Um, it's I know it's not going to be some quick thing. It- to me, it's frustrating that it takes $40 million this many years. Um, but at least there's some hope, I guess. Nick says, "Hi, hope all is well with everyone." Hey, Nick, thanks for stopping by. Bubba, what's up, my man? Thanks for swinging out, Barbie. Hopefully, we can figure out a way to get to Wisconsin to do something similar. But again, hopefully, it doesn't cost 40 million. To me, it's just crazy that politics seem to be so involved around money and who can put up the money to make things happen. It's really frustrating to me, but what do I know? I guess. For the majority of the justices here, though, it said that Amendment 3 met that bar as far as the contingencies we just talked about. In light of those limited considerations, we approved the proposed amendment for placement on the ballot. Um, Again, this gives me some hope, but I just it shouldn't be this difficult, as we've mentioned before. So I'm hoping that given this information, we could start looking into this, which will definitely be on the docket. How many states could see rec use legalized in 2024? Looks like there were the 5 states on the docket for adult responsible use. You got Florida, Hawaii, Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, and South Dakota. So I think they had, oh yeah, they had some other stuff going on the ballot as well. The Attorney General of Florida opposes recreational pot. I'm going to guess he's Republican because unfortunately that seems to be the theme. Florida Attorney General Ashley Moody had argued against the ballot measure. She said it didn't overcome the threshold, accusing it of being misleading. She also said it gave an unfair advantage to Trulieve, Florida's largest medical operator, which was contributing the vast majority of the funds for the campaign. But why did these people let it have to go to a campaign? Like, Javin, what's up, man? Thanks for swinging by. In a statement Monday afternoon, Trulieve CEO Kim Rivers applauded the decision, saying in an email, "We look forward to supporting this campaign as it heads to the ballot this fall." Interesting stuff. Again, it was my understanding that they couldn't do a ballot initiative, but it almost looks like my understanding is they basically bypassed the governor and got it heard at the Supreme Court level, who ruled that it's a legit thing. So hopefully that's something that we can put in our bag of tricks here to get things rolling. I'll keep you posted on that. I'm sure it's going to take a couple phone calls and a couple discussions, but it's good to see something happening somewhere. Waldo says, or Javin says, I work for Trulieve here in Arizona. They are huge. Waldo says Trulieve is dirty AF. They must have ran into some stuff. But again, this is a state that's been pushing for it for some time. Politicians were, for whatever reason, whoever's paying the bill or paying people off, it wasn't looking good. And my understanding now is it's going to be on the ballot, and it's just about educating the people of Wisconsin. So, or Florida. Green Swan says, F Trulieve, corporate cannabis sucks. Support small and local. There you go. That's what's up. I suppose they're probably just a conglomerate, which is not what we want to see happen. So it's interesting, something to keep an eye on, and something I look forward to seeing if that's something that we can do. Hey, someone need a classic wedding ring? It's popping up in our ad. Somebody must have been talking about it. I'm not sure. Get that shit on Amazon. Free day shipping, 3-day shipping. We had a couple other things going down this week. DEA officials reportedly at odds with the Biden administration over the rescheduling push. I know we've had this in discussion for some times now, and as far as the rescheduling and hoping that it can get knocked off of Schedule 1, there's been a lot of debate on whether Schedule 3 is a good thing, which the majority seem to think it is. There's always the chance that when we're dealing with government and politics, that things aren't as they seem. So I know there's some people that are hesitant on that Schedule 3. But it looks like officials with the DEA, which is who the holdup is with currently, are reportedly resisting calls to reschedule cannabis, creating tension with the White House. Because why wouldn't there be tension? That just seems to be the thing. It looks like Trulieve is behind the whole bill that DeSantis was signed to make Delta 8 illegal in Florida. Gotcha. Small and local. Javin says small and local doesn't get things done like True Leaf did in Florida and across the country. Again, unfortunately, I feel like there's going to have to be that money and that initial push just to get this bill rolling, which is crazy. But it's also a real thing that we might have to try to figure out. So back to the topic here. According to an article published by the Wall Street Journal on Saturday, with the report citing, man, how many times do we hear this? People familiar with the matter. Who the hell was it? Let's get these people on camera. But anyways, people familiar with the matter who say certain DEA officials are disputing scientific findings from the U.S. Health and Human Services that led to recommended moving cannabis from Schedule 1 to 3. What? Certain DEA officials are disputing scientific findings from the U.S. Health and Human Services. That's interesting because I feel like the DEA would not normally do that. Like maybe they're getting paid by somebody or something. Some advocates and stakeholders have challenged the reporting, questioning the possible motivations of the anonymous sources. DEA has only publicly said that it is carrying out its review after receiving the HHS recommendation without taking a specific position. The frustrating thing is they've had this for some time now, and every time people are asking to get an update on when they're going to know, like what are they looking at, man? It's there's so much behind the benefits of cannabis. And now they've got the recommendations from this US Health and Human Services. Sounds really important, right? Sounds like they know what they're doing. Why is it taking this long regardless? Hey Jay, thanks for stopping by. It's just frustrating. Continues to be frustrating, unfortunately. So what do we got here? In any case, the report says the DEA officials are unconvinced by the health agency's conclusion that cannabis holds certain medical value, and they're concerned about issues related to increased THC potency. Okay, take the potency out of here first, because if they really are concerned or they don't know if there is medical value, look at any of your constituents, put out a public hearing, have people stop by, have people write you letters. It's crazy the amount of people that cannabis has helped. That I just know that you know that we know. This is bullshit. Randall, thanks for stopping by. Green Swan says, I think a majority of people would rather support small than MSOs selling mids, but that's just me. I think you're correct there, buddy. Especially when it comes to something that involves this much potential corruption, as far as for example, having to fund $40 million in Florida to get this to a ballot measure. When you're talking all this money involved, we need to find a way to keep it small, because we've seen it time and time again, whether it's Walmart, whoever. I mean, you can't just let the guys with the money keep running the show, especially in Wisconsin. We got all these farmers, we got all these people, we got farmers markets. We got to keep this thing as close to a small that farmers market feel as we can. We want to be able to have different strains. We don't just need the 2 or 3 strains with the highest potency. Let's keep it legit. Let's keep it that cottage industry. In any case, the report says the DEA officials are unconvinced by the health agency's conclusion. The sources also said that HHS officials have recently requested information from the Justice Department's official of legal counsel on the legal implications of cannabis rescheduling. Interesting. DEA administrator told lawmakers last year she would keep an open mind and look at all the research as their agency carried out its own review. I'd really be interested to see what that looks like. The DEA has stressed that it holds final authority on scheduling decision, regardless of what HHS recommended. However, the Congressional Research Service, God, they got some fancy words out here, has said it is likely the DEA will accept a Schedule 3 determination based on past scheduling precedent. Okay. What's the holdup now? There's been no information as to why they've been looking at this so long. While the Wall Street Journal report doesn't name its sources who said DEA is at odds with the White House, a former DEA administrator who served under the Trump administration was quoted as saying, "Science does not support rescheduling of cannabis." Really, dude? Which part of science are you talking about? Because I don't think it's a legit science. Let's talk about it. Quit giving statements. Talk to the people. Talk to us. Doing that will harm public health and safety, the former DEA head said. No, no, this is just buffoonery. It looks like the cannabis moment here reached out to the DEA and the White House for comment, but representatives were not immediately available. Go figure. The DEA historically has been hostile to any efforts to amend cannabis federal status, even once going as far to overrule its own administrative law judge in order to keep cannabis from being removed from the Schedule 1 placement. Further, this is an agency that tends to act relatively independently, you don't say, regardless of whether a Democrat or Republican administration is in power. Well, what the hell do we got to do to get things to actually be legit? Like, this shouldn't be a thing. We've got a couple comments here. Javin says you need to get it legal first, and then people will support your local dispensaries. You need deep pockets to make it happen, though. Unfortunately, it appears that way. Waldo says Florida is allowed to use chemicals on cannabis, medical cannabis, and many customers are writing customer complaints about Trulieve products. They paid people to delete these and are lobbying to make hemp illegal in Florida. Gee Louise. Corey, what's up, man? Thanks for stopping by. Like, why is this got to be such a cluster? This is just, I'm drinking some Starry to that. I didn't forget my drink tonight, so we should be okay. We've got the whole state cannabis businesses would be able to start taking federal tax deductions. This is if it goes to Schedule 3 that they're currently barred from under IRS code known as 280E. However, and the policy change would also remove certain research barriers. Huge. That right there is huge. We need that. We deserve that. This should be a done deal. Maybe they can give us an address. I would love to go talk to these people, help educate, and bring a lot of your stories and real life instances of how cannabis helps you guys. We got that poll question out right now on the page. Make sure you check that out, just about how cannabis helps you. We're just trying to gather the different ways it helps so many different people. We've got opponents of cannabis reform have urged the DEA to keep cannabis on Schedule 1, of course, in part because they say a reclassification would constitute a violation, of international treaties to which the U.S. is party. I got something interesting on that here in just a second. So essentially, there was a treaty signed for global cannabis scheduling policies, but just look around. Like, there's countries that are legalizing left and right, and it's not like they're starting a war because they didn't follow this outdated treaty. I've got an article. Let me see if I can find that. Minnesota, Massachusetts. Here we go. Let's cancel this one. This kind of leads into this article. The UN never bothered Canada about legal cannabis violating treaties, the Prime Minister says, as the U.S. weighs rescheduling international implications. What? You mean it didn't start World War III when you legalized cannabis because you signed a treaty in the 60s about cannabis when the war on drugs was going on? Huh. Interesting. We've got the Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. I always say his name. I say everyone's name wrong, unless it's like Bob, John, or Frank. But Justin Trudeau, I think that's how you say it, says that his government's, damn Canadians, concern about possible UN penalties for legalizing cannabis never materialized, disclosing that no officials have as much as discussed the issue with Canada since the reform was acted 6 years ago in 2018. Hello. They don't care. Trudeau. Thank you, Waldo. Appreciate that. Good to be here and get education for all you do. Thank you. Hey, Corey, you bet, man. I appreciate the words. Definitely. The comments come as anti-cannabis U.S. lawmakers in Congress are pressuring the DEA to loosen the restrictions and reschedule. But they're saying that some of these folks at the DEA or whatnot are saying that it will put the country at risk of UN sanctions. Seriously, like, come on. That is some bogus shit. Let's ask the people we signed the treaty with. Hey, if we legalize cannabis, is that going to be an issue? If I would love to see somebody say that would be an issue. Like, come on, prove it. Don't just assume. Oh well, we signed the treaty. We don't want to find out. That'd be terrible. Ask them. Who the hell cares? These news, this news segment, like it's good to kind of get caught up, and it's hard for me to keep up on the day to day. There's just so much stuff out there, so I really enjoy doing the Friday kind of recap. But man, it's just frustrating as hell. Advocates have routinely pushed back on that position, in part by pointing out that Canada seemingly faced no repercussions from the international body since legalizing cannabis nationwide. Now, Trudeau is confirming as much, though he conceded it was an initial concern for his government. Fair. Maybe there are some crazy, hardcore, old school people out there that would be like, you signed that treaty, you owe us money or something. But come on, we're not going to start World War III over you signed that sheet of paper and now you got cannabis. Like, talk about it. Quit assuming. Yeah, stupid. The only downside, this is a quote from him, the only downside we were extremely worried about was that it would place us in a non-compliance with certain international treaties on drug control. He told France TV, according to translation. We thought they could punish Canada because we're not aligned with the treaties, but nobody talked to us about this. They were interested in looking at what we were doing. Again, keep it simple, stupid. Who cares? The Prime Minister was a chief proponent of legalization, and the government has defended its decision to advance the reform, including a meeting of the UN Commission on Narcotic Drugs in 2020. Go ask your questions there, people who are worried in the U.S. If you really, it's just a decoy. It's not a legit concern. There's no way. That, to me, this is a joke when they say that this treaty is what they're worried about. It's a joke. So let's call them out on it. Maybe we can find out who the hell we can ask over here in this UN treaty thing we signed. Yeah, Waldo. In other news, our state's government has adjourned for the year. Who the F gets to work 3 months and gets paid for 12, right? I've had a couple emails come back this week saying, with session being out, we should talk in January of 2025. And I'm like, well, hold up. We want to know your stance because we got to know how we're going to vote. So if that's how you want to go, that's cool. But we'll take it as you don't care about cannabis reform. Like, you should have a lot of free time to talk to us, the people, about cannabis. We don't want to clobber you upside the head or anything. We want to do it fair. We want to do it right. But the fact that you guys don't talk to us about it is the reason we're here. But yeah, now they're just done for the year. Mind-boggling. I think we should all get to hang them up for the rest of the year. We should all just and not talk to anybody about what we do for work either. No, we'll talk to you once the new session starts. Get them out. Get out of here. Get out of here. Trudeau, the prime minister, was a chief proponent of legalization, and then they had the narcotic drugs meeting with the UN Commission. The new remarks from Trudeau in the episode of New French Cannabis series, maybe we should watch that, are especially relevant in the U.S. amid the ongoing DEA review into cannabis scheduling. Let's make sure we get this information over to the DEA. Canada's still okay. They are still there. They have not been attacked. They're able to still do fair trade. Excuse me. Ooh, what is going on? Hang on. Excuse me. Starry. Love my Starry. The DEA has previously cited a need to uphold international treaty obligations in denials of past rescheduling petitions, and prohibitionists are hoping that it maintains that position by rejecting the rescheduling recommendation. Bullshit. But experts have contended that the modest move, which would not legalize cannabis, would not represent noncompliance with the decades-old single convention. Boom. In fact, legal experts recently released an opinion arguing that a move to Schedule 3 would better uphold the country's broader obligations under international law to regulate cannabis in a way that protects public health and safety. Ding, ding, ding. Let's get this letter. I'll deliver it there. I'll drive, bike, whatever. Where do I got to take it? Let's do it. We got it right here. But anyways, the good news is there is a country that has been able to legalize and not be negatively affected. Boom, get this to the DEA. If they're still concerned about it, just ask the UN, hey, is this going to really upset some things? No, it's not. I guarantee you it wouldn't. And if it does, well, let's talk about it. Waldo says all of our elected officials are probably all partying and smoking weed, pretending they don't like it. Right? I've heard some stories about some folks at the Capitol with cannabis use. Definitely have. We did have this was where was it here? A coalition of 12 senators pointed out in a separate letter to the DEA administrator in January that the UN has since revised global cannabis scheduling policies. Okay, so they did send them the letter, the information. Those lawmakers urged the DEA to legalize cannabis completely. Come on, let's go. All right. We got a few other things going on around the area. A lot of it has to do with, or well, here first, let me go on to this one. So, New Hampshire, the GOP governor reaffirms he'd sign a legalization bill with state-run dispensaries, despite his personal reservations. I just thought this was interesting because apparently the state-run thing, there are still some people out there that might think it's a good deal, like good idea. So I just want to check into this a little bit here. The Republican governor of New Hampshire has reaffirmed that he'd sign a bill to legalize cannabis despite his personal reservations about the policy change, as long as it contained provisions including state control over the market. So, yeah, there must be something out there that these yahoos go to some convention somewhere and somebody's telling them, well, you can legalize if it's a state run dispensaries. People actually think this is a good idea. I do. Corey says, I'm 52 and have been to war. Real tired of hiding a plant. Amen, brother. Appreciate your service very much. And yeah, it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So the governor, of course, he's a Republican, said during an interview with WMUR that, well, and don't get me wrong, I do not, I've voted both parties many times in the past. I'm not, it's just when it comes to cannabis, a lot of Republicans really frustrate me. That does not mean I'm going to sit here and trash anyone who votes Republican or anything like that. No, that's not. There's something else going on here. Okay. But it is frustrating. So it is what it is. Call it like it is. That while there may be some flexibility with respect to the part of his proposal that would ban cannabis businesses from lobbying the legislator, he remains committed to having a state run model that he says would minimize potential harms. I don't love the idea of legalizing cannabis here. I really don't, he said. But knowing that it is probably inevitable, there's a responsibility to getting the system right. Other states around us have got their systems very wrong. Oh, God. So if lawmakers stay in the guidelines and they do this, well, I don't love it. Boy, we could set ourselves up for a good long-term sustainable system with minimal impact to kids. And that's really what I'm looking for. Really, kids are your top concern? Like, don't get me wrong. I don't want any kid to get into cannabis. But again, that's why I would keep it in the Tylenol drawer or in above the fridge. Lock it. It's common sense. We got booze. We got cleaning products. Like the kid thing is it's a joke. It's not a joke that kids shouldn't have it by any means. I think we can all agree on that. But that your concern is, but I can't get over how this could negatively impact kids. Bullshit. We gotta be responsible like we do with everything else in our life. The House did approve a cannabis legalization bill last month, but it proposes a more conventional, privately ran cannabis industry. Some senators have already pushed back on legislation and called for a reform measure that more closely aligns with the governor's proposal. What? Why is that a thing? The House bill also must go to another committee in the chamber, of course, with a hearing scheduled for Wednesday and then pass again to the floor before potentially being transmitted to the Senate. It is just so uncommon sensed. I don't even know the word that I'm looking for. So, ass backwards. Like, you, I'm sure they had to work really hard to get something passed through the assembly. And now that gets to the Senate floor, it's going to be basically tore back down. And that's what worries me in Wisconsin. But we got to get moving. We'll do whatever. You know what I mean? Like, catching up on comments real quick. Wallace says the Massachusetts Department of Agriculture just banned any consumable hemp product illegal. Jeez. Burton says, yeah, labs have been known to publish bogus results. I've heard, especially when it comes to boosting THC percentage, right? Bubba says, I just want to grow amazing medicine for me and my wife. Amen. Jason D, at the end of the day, even if kids do get into it, they're not going to die. True. And cannabis, Burton says cannabis won't negatively impact kids. Ridiculous. It's frustrating. I swear, sometimes it just feels like they're trying to get us so frustrated that we just like throw in the towel, but we can't do that. But man, it just gets crazier and crazier. Some of the stuff they come up with. Looks like there's a little sit down interview here, which I really don't want to watch. We're willing to look at some things. Happy to take a look at it. Yeah, I'm sure you'll look at it. You'll look at it like Voss looked at it. State-run dispensaries. Interesting though. That's out in New Hampshire. Minnesota regulators launch an effort to catch retailers selling illegal cannabis as hemp flower. This is interesting to me because they say it's illegal, but by the definition of the farm bill that the feds put out, that they thoroughly look over, it's not illegal per se. A lot of you know what THCA is if you are familiar with the cannabis products in Wisconsin that work very well. And I'm going to assume that's what they're talking about over here in Minnesota. So I want to check into this. It has been an open question until now whether registered hemp retailers in Minnesota are selling raw cannabis flower that crosses the line between legal hemp and illegal cannabis. Cannabis use is legal in Minnesota, but legal sales haven't started yet outside of tribal reservations. That means a raw cannabis flower purchased in the Twin Cities that recently tested above the legal limit isn't supposed to be sold in the state. Cannabis use, or because of a gap in the state's new rec cannabis law, no state regulators had either the legal authority or the inspectors to sample the flower being sold to check whether it exceeded the federal and state definitions for hemp. That is the flower being sold in some stores legal or illegal? Does it contain more than 0.3% Delta-9 THC, the intoxicating compound in cannabis? Turns out it does. A sample purchased from a registered hemp store by a private person tested at levels that are illegal under the law, according to the results from a California-based cannabis testing lab. MinPost agreed not to name either the raw flower purchaser or the lab, but has verified the identities of both. The lab reported the flower showed a potency of 1.1% Delta-9, 3 times the limit under the state law. So this is where THCA can get a little confusing out there for some folks. Being that if you really my understanding is you can really convert a lot of THCA I know of a person who took a very low Delta-9 quality flower, high THCA, put it in his glove box in the summer on a hot day, and was able to convert the THC to Delta-9 by decarbing it in his glove box. So essentially, you could be buying it legal, and then it could be testing illegal, but it was legal through the whole process until it got heated, or even when it's sitting on a shelf and it comes into contact with light. It's crazy. And again, if we had legalization in place, we wouldn't have to worry about this. It's just a cluster. Like, why is everything got to be so complicated? That's what it comes down to. Why is this? And honestly, I still think the only reason it's on the federal level, the state level, and all the states here and in between, it's such a mess, is because the damn government is afraid to admit they were wrong for so many years and screwed up so many people's lives, incarcerating them. But the longer you keep dragging this shit out, and it's hemp, it's not hemp, it's that, it's not this, the treaties, not treaties, common sense. Come on, let's figure this shit out. Waldo says Minnesota needs to get their crap together and figure out what they really want to sell. Hemp, cannabis, open some dispensaries for crying out loud, right? Mama Nicole says Waldo Hemp works. Social media could be our voice. Got to use the tools in our favor, 100%. Waldo then says, though, I'm a boomer, according to my kids. I just found out what the skibbity toilet is yesterday. I don't even think I want to know what that is. But yeah, sounds like Minnesota still got some clusterfuckery going on over there. They're even talking here now about hemp-derived cannabinoid products as far as edibles, beverages, topicals. Oh, not flour. I see. Just let's go. Let's figure this shit out. Talk to some of the people in the industry. Maybe you get a clearer understanding of what the hell is going on. It was interesting to hop over to Massachusetts, where officials eye regulation of THC infused hemp products sold in liquor stores and smoke shops. Um, we've got Burton says, so does the store need a COA for each batch, or can the government just randomly open and test products? Uh, that is a. I guess I was curious if you're asking like in hemp dispensaries, like in Wisconsin. Um, usually there's only a COA every once in a while type thing. Um, that is a good question though. If that's where there should be some sort of regulation to keep things adequate and safe for the consumers. So here we go to Massachusetts. Beacon Hill is waking up to a regulatory loophole that has allowed hemp drinks and gummies with intoxicating doses of THC to show up in liquor stores, smoke shops, and restaurants. At a legislative hearing on Tuesday, the commissioner of the State Department of Agricultural Resources what she was doing about the spread of these unregulated products. The commissioner said her agency is aware of the problem and working with the Department of Public Health to put new guidance next month on how those products should be treated. The agencies has left that job to the under-resourced local boards of health, which have taken no action up to this point. This is a product that people are going to be consuming. When I say people, this could be adults, it could be minors. I think we need to have some review just to determine what's safe. Interesting. Um, there needs to be a responsible person. To me, these should be sold at a dispensary, or a place where you can get educated on the product. If it's at a restaurant or a bar, it should be like a single use, a set limit. There needs to be some kind of common sense practices in place. It does need to be talked about. What do we got here? Government only cares what benefits them. Burton says black market herb is being sold as THCA. It was never grown with the intent to meet a legal requirement. So no one's testing the THC flower. If it's packaged and marketed correctly, it can fly. That's kind of how that works. That's why it's always good to see sealed bags because then you can kind of be hands off. But that is what it is. So again, Massachusetts looks like they've got their own hemp infused deal going on. Excuse me. It looks like hemp companies, seltzers, and even vapes has left states with the responsibility of clarifying whether hemp products containing THC are legal and how they should be regulated. Maybe we should just legalize cannabis and then work with the people to figure out a safe way to do this instead of everything is so half-assed. Again, you can sell, but not that. But this you can, but not in that. This dose you can do that, but then call it hemp, but don't do this. Bro, talk to the freaking people. We elect you. We put you there. Annoying. Looks like I had one more on here. House Committee schedules hearing with FDA. Oh, yeah. So here's another one. House Committee schedules a hearing with the FDA head to talk hemp regulations and other issues next week. So that could be potentially a couple of last articles we talked about. This could be a way forward getting those checked out. Congressional committee has announced that it is calling in the head of the FDA to testify on hemp regulatory issues as a way to hold him accountable amid ongoing industry concerns. The House Oversight and Accountability Committee, chaired by Representative James Comer, scheduled a hearing with the FDA commissioner on April 11th. See, this is where things get tricky for me because I feel like the hemp industry definitely needs some regulation. My concern is we just look at what these places are doing with cannabis in general. And then my concern becomes they're just going to step in and just like make everything so hard it's going to like abolish what we have gotten that is the quality products that are done the right way, that are safe to consume. So it's always been a double-edged sword for me on whether how you go about getting some regulation in the hemp industry, just because, as we know with politics, they like to overstep. They like to make things seem worse than they are so they can have full control. Um, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy to me. But I guess we'll see where this thing lands. Members of the panel will weigh in. The Oversight Committee has highlighted several crises occurring on the FDA's watch, which have negatively impacted the lives and health of American people and families. End of quote. We will hold the commissioner accountable for what the FDA is doing to address ongoing crises, how they are conducting inspections to prevent nationwide crises in the future, and how they intend to ensure the FDA is first and foremost protecting American consumers. I sure hope that's what the plan is here, because again, everything we've talked about tonight is $40 million just to get it put on the ballot. It's all about this crooked politics. So please be legit in how you handle this. That's my hope. We've got, this comes nearly a year after a House subcommittee held a first of its kind hearing where members examined the impacts of FDA inaction on developing regulations to allow for the sale of hemp-derived CBD as food items or dietary supplements. The full committee chairman has sharply criticized FDA after the agency announced in January 2022 that it would not be developing CBD regulations because it said there is not an available pathway to create such rules and it would require congressional action. Again, just it's common sense. This, if they would sit down with the people, your Waldo hemp, your Green Swan hemp, your River Bluff, your Ignite dispensary, there's people out here doing it the right way. Sit down and talk to them instead of these politicians keep trying to figure out cannabis, hemp. None of these guys can tell you the difference between hemp and cannabis, other than, well, one gets you high and one, they don't know what the hell they're talking about at all. None of them. It's just they're making something that's not that complicated way more complicated than it has to be. And it's just to watch them like crisscross what they're saying and they don't even realize it. They're crazy, man. This is just crazy. Bobby for president. Hell no. I will I would hang out at the White House and love to give some insight. But I am not to be made in charge of much. Let me tell you, I forget everything. No, but I appreciate it. But no, it's all of us. It's all of us. Well, I have a friend. Burton says, I have a friend who would like to supply the local dispensaries with organic THCA flower. Burton, you can send me some info on that. I'd be happy to check it out. We work with quite a few dispensaries across the state. Waldo says, confidence for hemp farmers decreases by the day. All these states making rules and banning products, no accountability from the FDA, right? They just open this. It's just it's above. I need to come up with a word because I feel like it's such a clusterfuck of things that it's not something that's really happened before. Like, I feel like alcohol is a little more cut and dry. I feel like cannabis is so confusing to so many of these politicians, yet they act like they know what they're talking about. And it's just like there's a word I've heard, befuddlement, buffoonery, blah, blah, blah. Something. It's fucked. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. But that's what we're here to do, folks. We got to keep trying to educate our elected officials. We got that town hall or the listening session coming up in Waukesha. I posted on the page earlier today. If you're in the area of Waukesha, please get out to that listening session. That's where your senator, who's going to be running for office again, who wants to get elected, sits down with the people of his area. And if you have questions, you can ask them. We need to get these people in the hot seat. They're not expecting us to show up. We need to keep on these guys. So please check the page if you're in the Waukesha area. Please try to get out there. Fucked is the perfect term. Frustration is the word. Yes, both of those. Frustra-fucked. It's frustra-fucked. There we go. We made up a word. Frustra-fucked. I like it. I don't care if anyone else in the political realm does or not. They done frustra-rucked themselves. Willie Nelson smoked weed on the roof of the White House. And hopefully one day we will too, because I feel like the amount of shit we're going to have to go through is going to require a long rip of a bong on the top of some big building someday. So appreciate everybody stopping out tonight. I guess we shouldn't have ended it with such frustrated, frustro fuck. Yeah, whatever. That's the new name for politics. You want to talk fuckery? Politics 101. Clusterfuck. Yeah, all that. That's what it is. But appreciate everyone stopping out. I know Pete, I think, was going to make it to the Waukesha event. I'm going to see if I can finagle a couple, moving a couple meetings around. And we should have a lot of opportunities coming up for other listening sessions and stuff. So appreciate your guys' time. Hope everyone has a great weekend. Try to unfruster yourself, spend some time with the family, enjoy some cannabis or whatever you got going on. So hope everyone has a good night. Thanks for hanging out tonight. We will